PvT's become better for me after I've played some Kerrigan Survival too.
Is it
Got to
is
keep
it
an awareness of the minimap at all times.
is
So
it is it
it's helped me
winnable?
best winning my jobs. It is in fact winnable.
Oh my god. And speaking of winnable, spawning in the top right-hand corner of Hardwire LE, we have our Polish Protoss player representing Storm Gaming. It is Gerald.
Spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of Hardwire LE, it is the Taiwanese Terran Naxin.
And I wanted to ask you this because I know, you know, you've been known, maybe no longer, but you've been known to have a very unique sleep schedule, and you stay up, and because of that, you actually get to catch some more European StarCraft. And I'm curious as to what your thoughts are on Gerald, because I feel like I feel like he's a bit of an underrated player. I've seen him have a lot of success, but at the same time, like he's still yet to break into that top European scene. Like when people think of European Protosses, they still do think of like your Showtimes and your Max Paxes.
Yeah, I mean Showtime and Max Pax are a cut above the rest of the E tosses, but I would say like there's not much distinguishing Gerald from that like second tier, like your Harsums, your Drogos, your Goblins, your Christianas. And yeah, I feel like Gerald is a very solid player.
Yeah, I agree. Like, especially because like we've been casting a little bit more of like the Polish tournaments as well recently. Like we've seen Geralt go at it with Christiana, and with Art as well, and they all like go back and forth in their series. I mean, it is PvP at the end of the day. But I'm definitely looking at Geralt to maybe be the next to break out. Like he definitely puts a lot of work in. Like he puts in a lot of hours. He plays in a lot of tournaments. You know, we'll see how he does. Alas, he has yet to win a Sparkling Tuna Cup. Every single time, I think every single time he's signed up, he's come second. He's become a bit of a Kong.
Oh, I thought he won one.
He lost twice against Björn, and I think last week he was in the finals, and I want to say he lost to Art in the finals.
Very bold proxy Stargate location as the builder's Stalker into Adept. Skipping Warpgate, and yeah. And I feel like Naxin might not be the most prepared for this with his Reaper into Marauder opening.
Yeah, unfortunately, he hasn't really seen this. Even though he was able to kill the probe earlier, he didn't really check in that location.
Yeah. Fortunately for him, he is making the Cyclone, and he does not have concussive shells as a trade-off for this fast switch into the factory. So the Shocker does get away. But not before scouting. And I feel like once you see a Marauder, like the options of the Terran narrow down a lot. So I feel like he's ruling out like Woodermine drops or Hellion play as a result of this. Although there is a Marauder Hellion, but that's off one base differently.
Yeah. So now I'm sure Geralt is feeling a lot more safer. That first Oracle is about to pop out, by the way. And there we go. It is heads towards that natural base. Unfortunately, the Cyclone, okay, it is in between the bases, so it's not too far away. But the Oracle does dip in and it is going to get a couple of... Oh my god, actually go straight for the main?
That is a bit greedy, Baker. Oh, that's painful. That's painful. So yeah, he had the opportunity to pick off like one or two workers, but he wanted to get into the main to get the full scale up and maybe into the main mineral line. Unfortunately for him, Naxin, he did opt for the Cyclone, which is Terran's best answer to Stargate units early on. And yeah, he's going for a second Cyclone, which is interesting. He might be doing some sort of like odd Cyclone bio push.
Yeah.
Viking push.
It's really interesting. I was shocked as well with the Marauder to open up with. I know we were talking a little bit about Geralt at the start of the game, but like opting not to go for concussive shells as well, it was a little bit odd to me. So yeah, I'm really curious. I'm excited as well, just because I know the Taiwanese scene, they actually like more often than not they have a bit of their own meta as well. I know they don't get too much eyes on them because they are kind of a niche scene, but you know, I'm excited to see what Naxin has for us.
Actually missed this, but Naxin has a very fast third base, so he's gonna have nice eco before um, before starting his stim and +1 and his combat shield. And so yeah, he is actually gearing up for a longer game, which is bold, but like I like it given the start he's got.
Yeah, I mean, he shut down that Oracle, it did no damage. Adept does slip into the main base, but we have 2 Cyclones to deal with it. The Adept is going to go down, doesn't even get a single SCV. He does scout though, but quickly looking at the vision here, Gerald still hasn't really confirmed that there is a 3rd CC already done, and he actually hasn't seen the double NG base either, so he doesn't know how like greedy or economic Naxin is being.
As a result, like his probe count is quite a bit lower than where it could be if he had the confirmation that it was 3CC.
Yeah, exactly, as we do see Geralt moving out. Blink is done, and he is headed towards this army, and Stim is still not quite finished here for Naxin, so there's a nice opportunity here for maybe Geralt to just swallow up this army.
Yeah, Stim is about to complete, but yeah, he's gonna need to intercept this. Oh, does get a surround, but Gerald blinks to the right, and yeah, gets a very nice trade, clears up a lot of bio.
Oh yeah, didn't even lose a Stalker there. I think 1 Stalker went down in total. So some nice trades here by Geralt. But thankfully for Naxin, this army is over here on the right hand side, so Naxin was able to land this 3rd CC relatively undisturbed.
And Geralt hasn't even confirmed it yet. And does pick off Marona, pulls back, but I feel like every second that he doesn't know Naxin had this 3rd CC down, like the further his sort of slipping behind, and he can't like adapt to what the situation is.
Yeah, he can't adapt, he can't punish either. Finally, his Stalkers head towards his 3rd base. He spots the 3rd, he sees how saturated it is. Sure, he gets an SCV, but that is all he gets, and Naxin, for all intents and purposes, he's gotten away with this. He's established a 3rd.
What I would like now from Naxin is like either a drop or a scan just to confirm what the Protoss tech is. Because if he makes the confirmation that it is Storm, he could just drop a Ghost Academy, and I feel like there's nothing much Gerald can really do to stop him getting a very powerful true timing with Ghosts at like 180, 190 supply.
Yeah, that's like the scariest thing about how Naxin is playing, is that if you look at his vision, he has very limited scouting information. He confirmed the 3rd earlier, I guess, and he confirmed the opener. We do see a scan at the 3rd, but honestly he doesn't see too much other than the saturation. He still doesn't quite know the kind of the tech or the composition of Geralt.
The thing he does know is the lack of a potential 6 gas. He does see the move out of Geralt, and yet he's got a very nice defensive position, bunkers everywhere.
Oh yeah, we got massive walls all over the place at the 3rd, at the natural as well, which is going to work so well against all these charge lots. Still has to be careful though, because there we go, we do have a scan. He does finally confirm the High Templar. We're going to need an answer to that. We need some ghosts.
And he is on 6 gas already, so he can support ghost production and like his upgrades and constant staff work production as well. So yeah, this is actually looking to be a quite nice setup for Naxin.
Oh, yeah.
Gerald, he's gonna need to get in some Robo Bay tech quickly.
Yeah, I mean, we don't see too much of a response from Gerald yet. I mean, he is mass expanding. Like, to be fair, he does have full map control, and we haven't seen too much activity from Naxin. So, Gerald, he's just working on his 5th base. We do see a pretty massive drop moving out, though, but it is going to be spotted by these Zealots.
And he opts to go for the safe route, clear out the Zealots, get some free value. And Gerald, he doesn't have +1 attack even finished, and Naxin, he's working on 2-2, so he's going to have a pretty big upgrade advantage quite soon.
Oh boy, exactly. 2-2, not too far away from finishing. You can see Naxin looking to take a 4th base. Maybe a little bit ambitious, we'll see. There's a lot of army waiting for him at that 4th base location, but maybe Geralt can force a recall back home or some kind of response, as he's still trying to find his way towards that 3rd. But I mean, we got a High Templar, we got Storm, we got reinforcements. Like, Geralt should be fine.
One thing I don't like the most out of Naxin's play is the fact that he's getting vehicle weapons and more tanks. Ooh, but very nice surround. Ooh, does he get the prism? He gets the prism. Wow.
Oh, babe, that was full of High Templar.
Yeah, very, very valuable cargo. Geralt goes for a run by it in the Nat to pull Naxin back, and he's going forward with his army, but he's losing so many Templar as he goes like he doesn't really have the splash damage you need to combat a Terran army at this phase.
Yeah, exactly. Especially because we're going to be seeing some ghosts. We're going to have some EMPs available. Meanwhile, all the Zelts are being cleaned up. Naxin is pushing out across the map. You can argue maybe he's pushing out with like half his army, so not the best trade here. But I mean, he's still trading well anyway.
What Naxin needs to do right now is capitalize on this 2-2 timing. His army is so much stronger than Gerald's right now if he can get it all together.
Yeah, that's the big thing. He needs to consolidate his army here and now. He has so many tanks available as well. 4 tanks, got 6 ghosts. He just needs to push out as soon as possible. Meanwhile, Gerald, I'm still surprised we don't really see a transition into any kind of robo-based units. Instead, it is going to be that Sky... Oh, actually, he's getting a bit of everything.
This is a bit too hesitant from Naxin. He shouldn't be going for a drop play. He should just be going for a big frontal push. Because obviously he doesn't have all the information that we have, but 1-1 Stalker Zealot just does not compete with 2-2 by a Ghost. And like he has a few High Templar, sure, but without a Prism, he's not going to be able to land any storms.
Yeah, exactly, and unfortunately that time has come and gone. Like, the War Prism has been remade. It's not going to meet up with the rest of the army to help ferry around those High Templar. We do see a drop towards the left-hand side, but Gerald, he's getting ready to transition into that Sky Toss, into those carriers.
Yeah. And he has River Bay ready as well. Naxin, he is going what looks to be into a late game, which is interesting. It's not usually Terran's, I would say, most favored game, but he does get a nice bit of battery overcharge trying to save this Nexus, but the bio does bring it down, and Recall was also burned.
Wow, nicely done here by Naxin. He snipes the base at the same time. Bit of a Zealot run by, and it does nothing. There was plenty here at home to defend. So Naxin honestly getting a lot done here. But again, he hasn't quite scouted that transition from Gerald, so I'm a little bit concerned whether or not he'll have something ready for the incoming carriers, I imagine.
The top left-hand side is getting cleared up by Gerald, and Naxin, like, he hasn't done any big move out. So he might feel comfortable in the late game, which is interesting because not many Terrans feel quite comfortable in the late game. But if you are practiced at this sort of style, like the things Terran has, like ranged +2 libs, ghosts, Vikings, like they can definitely combat the Protoss army if you know how to use it well. And that's a big if.
Yeah, like, I want to give Naxin the benefit of the doubt, you know, be like, you know, if he wants to go here, then if he, obviously he's been very adverse to pushing out with his army, he's got to feel confident, right? We'll see. We'll see how he can do against, you know, a top tier European Protoss of the likes of Gerald. As of course he is still working on the rest of his upgrades. 3-3 is on the horizon here for Naxin. More ghosts. I think we're still lacking lib range as we don't have a fusion core, but he is incorporating those liberators as well.
Yeah, I don't see many Terrans choosing to do the sort of like TY style, as Gerald goes for a bit of a push out onto Naxin's fifth base. Doesn't land any decent Novas, Planetary gets repaired, and he is getting pushed back. Meanwhile, Naxin has a nice counter attack.
Oh, he really does. This force, he sniped a Nexus earlier. It looks like he's going to snipe a Nexus again, and maybe even deal more damage. Gerald, he's forced to turn around with his entire army.
Trade from Naxin, although he needs to be careful not to lose this army.
Yeah, it looks like he will be able to slip away for the time being. Gerald, he's trying to intercept the drop, but Naxin, he's already safely away from all those stalkers, so Naxin will be able to get out, he will be able to get back. And, oh my god, I'm just looking at the production tab. Naxin making 3 CCs at once.
Yeah. So I will say, like, not many Terrans choose to play this sort of late game style with vehicle weapon upgrades and siege tanks. TY was a big proponent of it, and... Well, okay. But yeah, it's usually just because Blink DTs have historically just completely countered siege tanks. However, with the Blink DT enough, I can see it being a bit more viable now.
True. Speaking of, Dark Shrine is on the way at the same time. Naxin, for the first time this game, is moving out with his entire army. Libs, tanks, ghosts. Libs aren't really in the best position, but the tanks are now joining the fray, and so far we haven't seen any good purification over from Gerald.
pullbacks, gets the EMP on the whole army, and he's got a nice position to fight versus Disruptors. Disruptors don't have a good angle to get the shots off.
Oh, exactly.
And yeah, he is trading quite well here.
Yeah, the Liberators are now resieging as well. We saw the massive blanket EMP on the entire army. The Buyer, he's trying to chase down the carriers, and there's no more splash damage.
Yeah, and there's no more interceptors either. That was rough.
Up until that moment, everything was looking so good for Naxin, but he takes a massive disruptor shot to the face.
It is worth pointing out though that like Gerald's army, like it is still quite bad if he doesn't have disruptor shots ready. Like the carriers need time to rebuild their interceptors, and unfortunately Naxin doesn't feel confident enough to press the issue further. So the carriers are going to get time to rebuild, and Naxin is going back.
Yeah,
and this is where it gets a bit worrisome for the Terran, because he doesn't have the sort of bank Gerald has.
Exactly. I was looking at his resources, at his economy, and Naxin doesn't have it.
He's got 96 probes.
It really is TY. Oh wait, no, sorry, that's Gerald. Oh my god.
Yeah. So yeah, if that disruptor shot didn't land, I think Gerald was in quite a lot of trouble.
Yeah. I 100% agree, but unfortunately it did land. Now Gerald is going for his counterattack. So far, okay, decent dodges here from Naxin, but he needs more time. Needs time to rebuild his libs, rebuild the backbone to his army. Up.
This is a bit of a forward position, so I feel like Naxin, he needs to get like 180 or 270 degree surround on this army, and then he can just collapse, kill all the disruptors, and then his marines can clear out the carriers.
Yeah, he's trying to reposition. Meanwhile, Gerald, he rotates around. It looks like he will get a CC for free. At the same time, Zealot's denied the base to the bottom right, so Naxin is having a really hard time expanding here, as Gerald essentially takes down 2 CCs at once.
The longer Gerald gets away with this massive economy, like the worse it gets for Naxin. Like if he's not forcing favorable trades for himself, Gerald's just going to get further and further ahead resource bank wise.
Yeah.
And so when the anomalies inevitably clash, Naxin, he's just not going to have the ability to replace, whereas Gerald has got plenty of money in the bank.
Exactly. I mean, this is a nice move here from Naxin. This is the 3rd Nexus he sniped, by the way. Like, Naxin, he's just been amazing with these drops. I guess exclamation mark Funada Gerald for his lack of map awareness there, as he does lose that 3rd Nexus. But at the same time, he could afford to lose probes. He's still at 87 probes, and now Naxin, he's pushing out across map once again. He catches 2 tanks. Oh, sorry, 1 tank for free.
Naxin's been building Vikings, but I'm not sure if I like this yet, because he does not have good, or any in fact, upgrades on them compared to the 1-2 of the carriers, soon to be +3 attack.
Yeah, the Vikings I also thought were a little bit questionable. He does have a lot of them though, so maybe if we get the EMPs off, maybe the Vikings can clean up all these carriers. It will kind of depend on the engagement. Meanwhile, the War Prism gets into the main.
Ooh, very, very big Warpin of Dark Templar, but Naxin, he is in position to destroy this counterattack, but Gerald, he is posturing on the
Not like this. That was the 2nd Juicy Nova we've seen this game, and how many ghosts was that? Oh my god.
It's not the type of army you replace easily.
Yeah, that was like 6, 7 plus ghosts gone in the blink of an eye. Up until then, like again, Naxin's army still had so much potential. Now Naxin knocked back to the Stone Age. You were talking about it earlier, he just doesn't have an amazing economy to rebuild what he's losing.
I will say that, like, he does not necessarily need that many ghosts in his army. I feel like he could benefit from the addition of a few marines again, or just DPS against carrier interceptors.
Oh boy, unfortunately he's not rebuilding those marines. He still has a decent bio army on the ground, as Gerald does snipe the base to the bottom right, recalls back home. Naxin's still struggling to get another base up and running, which is scary because he's starting to mine out on some of these other bases. Like, he needs to be able to expand and take these expansions. Meanwhile, he's now pushing out, this time with everything.
One thing to notice, Naxin has a very big army compared to Gerald, because Gerald has this such high worker count.
True. Very
so
true
he still
indeed.
has the opportunity.
Yeah, he does. Novas are going off, are connecting with the bio, but we also saw some decent EMPs, and Gerald, he sees all these Vikings. He doesn't feel like he wants to really engage here, so he backs off and he loses the base.
Naxin, he's able to trade pretty damn well. Like, he's up 6k in resources versus Gerald. And I feel like this is just because of Gerald's massive economy. At the same time, I feel like he's going to need to get rid of a few probes in the future, just so he can get the type of army to fight Naxin.
Oh my god, exactly. Meanwhile, here we go. He forces the engagement. We did see a decent amount of those ghosts go down, but in comes Naxin. I'm a little bit scared because Naxin took down a base, but he also killed a lot of probes, so he's freeing up supply for more army of Gerald. But Vikings are hunting down the carriers.
Nice trades, but at the same time, a very big DC counterattack is taken force, and Naxin has no defenses at home to stop this.
Exactly. Can these Vikings really kill the carriers fast enough? It looks like no is the answer. The Vikings, sorry, are not going to be good enough. The Terran army breaks down, and GG gets called.
Impressive game from Naxin, but at the same time, I feel like it was a missed opportunity. Like, he had such a strong timing at 2-2 with Ghost, and I feel like he did not capitalize that as nearly as much as he needed to versus a player of Gerald's caliber, who you might not want to take to the later stages of the game.
Yeah. It could be a stylistic thing where maybe Naxin is just accustomed to, like, you know, go for drops and never really push out until he's maxed out, until he's more comfortable with the late game army. So that is possible, but that's also, you know, something that he needs to work on. He needs to recognize when he does have these advantages and take advantage of them, right? And hit these timings, as you were saying. But I hope Naxin doesn't feel too bad. Likewise, I'm very impressed with how he played. We don't get to see these two regions like face off against each other too often. So it's cool to see Naxin playing well against Gerald.